Telegraph. Trump disowns comedian over Puerto Rico joke. This is comedian, well, so-called comedian at any rate, Tony Hinchcliffe, who's facing backlash after his remarks at Trump's recent Madison Square Garden rally. Let's have a watch.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
I think we'll come to you first, Ant, since you're there. It sort of landed with some members of the rally, didn't it? Others booed him instantly. Trump has distanced himself from it now.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I've been to Puerto Rico. It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, it's distasteful, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, living in the US, there's this real build up to the election and every opposing party is waiting for each party to trip up. And this is a big trip up. It's tone deaf.
Marina?
I think this could have really cost them dearly. There are 36 million Hispanic people who live in the US, and they are going to vote, and especially in swing states like Pennsylvania, lots of Hispanic people. This was not also, I would actually go further than you, Anne. I would say it's far more than distasteful. I think this was an attempt to dehumanise. And the fact that Trump is trying to distance himself, yeah, good luck with that. We know, with an event like this, every single speech would have been approved word for word. There would have been a teleprompter. Don't try and distance yourself from this. Own it. This is yours.
Albie, is this something that could, in fact, kibosh Trump's chances?
I think it was a very bad joke that this comedian attempted to make. This is a chap called Tony Hinchcliffe. There were 20,000 people at Madison Square Garden in New York. And you sometimes think with comedians, they do push things. They're on the edge of what you're allowed to say. Sometimes that can be funny. Other times it can be offensive. This time it was offensive and racist, and he shouldn't have said it in the last week run up to the election, which is a week today.
There's never a week when he should have said it. He shouldn't have said it in any week. But this is what he tweeted. Hinchcliffe tweeted saying that the joke was taken out of context. He said he loves Puerto Rico and that he was making fun of everyone. US Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded to Hinchcliffe's tweet, "This isn't a comedy store. You're using your set to boost neo-Nazis like Marjorie Taylor Greene and stripping women's rights to the Stone Age. Your sense of humour does not change that." At his Atlanta rally yesterday, Trump dismissed claims that he's a Nazi.
They say he's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi. I don't know. My father always used to tell me, don't use the word, you don't ever use the word Nazi. And, it's incredible now the way they talk is so disgusting and just horrible the way they talk.
I mean, you might say, Ant, talking about the way they talk is so disgusting. Some of the things he said, for example, about Kamala Harris alone have been absolutely extraordinarily revolting.
Yeah, it feels like a foot in the mouth is a regular occurrence in all politics, but particularly from that one chap.
And also, it's a bit rich, isn't it, saying something's out of context when you're on the stage at a public place when you deliver it. It's not like you were whispering something to your mother in the cloakroom. You're right there. You've chosen what you're going to say from your script.
Can we just talk about something which can't be taken out of context, which is this repeated claim that Donald Trump is a Nazi? I mean, Tim Walz actually said there's a direct parallel between what happened at Madison Square Garden the other day and a rally in the 1930s, a Nazi rally at the same arena in New York in the 1930s in Madison Square Garden. I do not think Donald Trump is a Nazi. Half the people in America who are going to be voting for him do not think he is a Nazi. We can't all of a sudden just compare all of these people that we disagree with that might say awful things to Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party.
He's literally talking about jailing his opponents. He's talking about mass deportations. He's about using the US military to turn on US citizens. Do you understand why this is, in my opinion, fascism? Fascism 101, and wanting to shut down the whole news stations or whatever. Fascism. So the comparison to Nazis, I understand it feels like a leap, but it doesn't feel like that big a leap for me.
I think it's important to use terms like that very sparingly, very, very rarely, and with a great deal of serious contemplation and research before you do. You don't want to bandy those terms about willy-nilly, but nevertheless, I can see where you're coming from.
Let's
move on. This is